So it's officially been about a month since Crimson Desert dropped. And yeah, this game is still absolutely massive. I've already spent a huge amount of time playing it. And even now, it honestly feels like I've barely scratched the surface of what this game has to offer. There's just so much going on here. Systems on top of systems, hidden mechanics, things the game never really explains to you properly. And if you go in blind, it can get overwhelming really fast. And I'm not gonna lie, I made a lot of mistakes early on. I wasted hours going in the wrong direction, trying to figure out mechanics that I wasn't even supposed to understand yet. I explored areas way too early, got stuck on puzzles that weren't meant to be solved at that stage, and just generally made things harder for myself than they needed to be. So in this guide, I'm gonna help you avoid all of that. This is gonna be a full beginner-focused walkthrough of the early game, the stuff you actually need to know when you first start playing. No late game tricks, no advanced builds, no niche mechanics you won't even see for 50+ hours. Just the essentials. And most importantly, everything is in the right order, so you don't waste time doing things too early like I did. All right, let's get into it. The first thing you need to understand, and this might sound obvious at first, is that you should stick to the main story early on. Now, I know how tempting it is to just run off and explore everything. This is an open world game, and naturally, you want to see what's out there. That's exactly what I did the moment the game opened up. The world pulls you in immediately. You see distant landmarks, caves, ruins, and all these little details that make you feel like there's something waiting around every corner. But here's the problem. A lot of the content you'll run into early on isn't actually meant to be completed yet. And the game doesn't really make that clear. You'll find puzzles, hidden areas, strange objects, and things that look like they're interactive. And you'll spend 20, maybe even 30 minutes trying to figure them out. You'll think you're missing something small, or that you just haven't solved it yet. You might even start second guessing yourself, thinking you're overlooking a clue or missing a simple mechanic. So you keep trying. You circle the area, test different angles, try different abilities, maybe even leave and come back thinking something will reset. But in reality, you're missing an entire mechanic or ability that only unlocks later through the main story. That's the key thing. The game is designed in a way where progression unlocks interaction. So even if something looks accessible, it doesn't mean you actually have the tools to deal with it yet. So all that time you spend trying to figure it out, it's completely wasted. And it's not just about the time, it also breaks your flow. Instead of moving forward, you get stuck in one place, doing something that doesn't even benefit you yet. And then later on, you unlock the required ability, and now you have to go all the way back to that same location just to finish what you couldn't do before. At that point, it starts to feel like unnecessary backtracking instead of meaningful exploration. It's just not efficient. So what I recommend, and what will save you a ton of time, is to focus primarily on the main story for the first few chapters. Follow the main objectives. Let the game introduce its systems to you naturally, and unlock things in the order they're meant to be unlocked. You can still do some side quests around the starting town, especially if they're nearby and easy to access. But don't go too far off track just yet. Think of it like this. Early on, you're building your foundation. You're unlocking core abilities, learning how systems work, and getting access to tools that make everything else smoother. Once you reach around chapter 4 or 5, that's when the game really starts opening up properly. By that point, you'll have more abilities, more tools, better mobility, and a much clearer understanding of how everything works. And that's when exploration actually becomes rewarding instead of frustrating. Now, when you find something, there's a much higher chance you can actually complete it on the spot instead of having to leave and come back later. So yeah, I know it's hard to resist, but trust me on this one. Hold off on heavy exploration early on. Give the game a little time to open up, and you'll have a much better experience because of it. Now, let's talk about fast travel, because early on, this system can feel almost non-existent. When you first start playing, your map is mostly covered in fog, and you won't see many fast travel points at all. In fact, for a while, it might genuinely feel like the game barely has a fast travel system to begin with. You'll be running around on foot, maybe using your horse, and wondering if this is just how traversal works the entire time. But that's not the case. The system is there, it's just something that reveals itself gradually as you explore and progress. As you start uncovering more of the map, you'll begin to notice these question marks appearing. At first, you might not pay much attention to them, or you might assume they're just random points of interest. But these are actually labeled as mysterious energy, and these are your fast travel locations. Now, the reason a lot of players overlook these early is because they don't stand out in an obvious way, especially when your map is still mostly hidden. You kind of have to actively explore and reveal terrain before they even start appearing consistently. Once you do start finding them, you'll notice that they don't all work the same way. Some of them are very straightforward. You walk up to the platform, interact with it, and just like that, it's unlocked. Simple, quick, no effort required. But others are a bit more involved. Some of these locations are tied to small environmental puzzles. You might have to interact with objects in a certain order, activate something nearby, or use a specific ability to trigger the mechanism. And this is where things start to get really important. Because the ones that require puzzles usually reward you with something called an abyss core when you complete them. And abyss cores are a huge deal. These act as your skill points, which means they directly contribute to your character progression. So every time you unlock one of these fast travel points, especially the puzzle-based ones, you're not just unlocking a convenient travel location. You're also making your character stronger. That's why this system is so valuable. It's not just about saving time, it's about progression. So by going out of your way to unlock these, you're getting a 2-in-1 benefit: better mobility and more power. Now, early on, you won't have many of these unlocked, so moving around the world can still feel slow. You'll spend a lot of time traveling between locations, and it might start to feel a bit tedious. But there's actually a really useful workaround that a lot of players don't realize right away. Once you progress a bit further into the main story, you'll unlock the ability to fly. And this happens relatively early, which is great. When you get this ability, it completely changes how you move around the map. You can open your map, switch to the Sky or Abyss tab, fast travel up there, and then skydive down to wherever you want to go. And this is way faster than anything else you can do at that stage of the game. Instead of spending several minutes traveling across terrain, you can just drop in from above and reach your destination much more efficiently. This becomes especially useful when you're trying to get to areas that don't have nearby fast travel points unlocked yet. It basically fills that gap until your network of fast travel locations becomes more complete. Another helpful trick you should be using is your lantern, or your blinding flash ability. This is something a lot of players either forget about or don't use often enough. When you activate it, nearby points of interest will light up in the distance. And this includes things that might not even be visible on your map yet. So if you're in an area where you feel like there should be more around you, or you're trying to locate hidden fast travel points, using this ability can make a big difference. It essentially highlights opportunities around you, helping you discover locations faster and more efficiently. So between unlocking mysterious energy points, using the sky travel method, and scanning your surroundings with your abilities, you can turn what initially feels like a slow traversal system into something much smoother and more manageable. Now, let's talk about the day and night cycle, because this is something that actually affects gameplay quite a bit. Nighttime in Crimson Desert is no joke. It gets extremely dark. In some regions, especially when it's raining, it can become almost completely pitch black. Visibility drops a lot, and navigating becomes more difficult. Because of that, you'll want to plan your exploration based on the time of day. But it's not just about visibility. Certain NPCs only appear at specific times, and some quests can only be triggered during nighttime. So sometimes, you'll actually want to wait until night on purpose. In most regions, the sun sets somewhere between 8 and 9 p.m., and it rises again around 3:30 to 4 a.m. If you ever need to skip time, you can do that once per day. You can skip 3, 6, or 12 hours, and you can do this at any bed or cooking pot. And this becomes especially useful later in the game when you start upgrading your camp, since a lot of those upgrades are tied to time progression. Also, a small but nice detail beds aren't owned by NPCs. You can sleep in any bed you find, anytime, and no one will react or get upset. Now let's move into one of the more interesting systems in the game, the crime and stealing system. First things first, you can't steal anything until you get a mask. That's the key item that unlocks the entire system. There are a few ways to get one early. You can loot them from bandits, buy them from a black market dealer near the starting area, or earn one through an early bounty mission. Once you have a mask, you can equip or unequip it whenever you want. When it's equipped, you'll see a small indicator near your minimap showing that you're in stealing mode. Now, here's a really important habit to build early. Always take the mask off when you're not actively trying to steal something. Because when it's on, the game enables pickpocketing, and it's very easy to accidentally steal something in front of NPCs. And if that happens, you'll instantly get into trouble. When you steal something, a timer starts. If nobody notices you before the timer ends, you're completely fine. But if someone sees you, a large red detection zone appears, and you need to leave that area before the timer runs out. If you don't, you get a bounty. You can pay off bounties at churches in nearby towns. But if you get caught and sent to jail, you'll lose your mask, which means you'll have to go out and get another one. Also, stealing lowers your reputation, but not by a huge amount. And the good news is, it's very easy to recover. You can donate even a small amount of money to beggars or complete a few side quests, and your reputation will go right back up. So don't stress too much about it. Once you understand how the system works, stealing actually becomes one of the best ways to make money early on. For example, you can break into the bank storage area and loot everything inside. Doing this can give you a solid amount of silver, which helps a lot with early upgrades. And the best part is, these locations reset after some in-game time passes, so you can come back later and do it again. Now, whenever you enter a new town or region, there's something you should always look out for: bell icons. If you see one, go ring it immediately. When you do, it clears a large section of the fog of war in that area and reveals nearby points of interest. It's one of the easiest ways to quickly uncover the map. Now let's talk about the HUD, because the game doesn't really explain this very well. There's a temperature gauge that changes depending on your environment and what you're wearing. If you get too cold, it turns blue. If you get too hot, it turns red. And when that happens, it negatively affects your stamina and overall performance. So it's important to wear the right gear depending on the region you're in. There's also an XP bar that fills as you defeat enemies. Once it fills up, you gain an Abyss score, which you can use to upgrade your abilities. And if you ever forget how something works, you can go into the Help section in the menu. It stores every tutorial you've unlocked so far, and it's incredibly useful when you need a quick reminder. Now, let's talk about preparing for boss fights, because this is something a lot of players underestimate early on. Before any major fight, there are 3 things you should always do. First, stock up on food. Buy meals, cook your own, gather ingredients, whatever you need to do. Just make sure you have plenty of healing and buffs available. Second, upgrade your gear. Go to the blacksmith and make sure your weapons and armor are as strong as they can be at that point. And third, apply temporary buffs using tools like the anvil and grindstone. These buffs are extremely important. They don't expire over time. They only wear off during combat, and they can make a huge difference in how a fight plays out. Now, let's talk about resource farming. Once you unlock certain abilities, you can make this process much faster. Instead of manually chopping trees or mining slowly, you can use abilities to break resources quickly and efficiently. And this leads us into pets. Pets are incredibly useful because they automatically collect nearby loot for you. This saves a ton of time, especially when you're farming resources or after large battles. To get a pet, you need to build trust with an animal by interacting with it repeatedly over time. You can speed this up by feeding it, and once its trust reaches 100%, you can tame it. It takes a bit of effort, but it's definitely worth doing early. Now let's talk about inventory management. Inventory space can become a problem pretty quickly. You can buy extra slots from vendors, and you should make a habit of clearing out unnecessary items regularly. Things like papers, notes, and certain quest items will stay in your inventory until you deal with them. So make sure you read and use them, then remove them when you're done. You can also transfer abilities from gear onto other items. This lets you keep useful effects while selling unwanted gear, which helps free up space and earn money at the same time. Now, to wrap things up, here are some quick tips. If you have stacked items, you can use them all at once instead of one by one. Check stables in new areas for better gear for your horse. You can dual wield weapons for higher damage output. You can stow your weapons to avoid accidental attacks. You can reset your skill points if you make a mistake. And you can lock onto enemies to make combat much easier. And that's everything you need to get started the right way. Take your time, follow the progression, and don't try to force things too early. If you play smart, you'll save yourself a lot of frustration and have a much smoother experience overall. Good luck out there.